And it is crunch time for Mike Parson. The governor will be picking a replacement for St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner, who resigned her office abruptly on Tuesday, creating an immediate vacancy in that crucial role, administering justice in the courthouse. Parson has said he plans to pick her replacement tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. We turn now to retired federal judge Nannette Baker, who joins us with legal analysis for the record. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I want to ask an obvious and practical question, but it's a question that also has legal weight. Do defendants, people charged with and accused of violent crimes in the city of St. Louis, do they have the access to a speedy trial right now?
Well, obviously they haven't had speedy trials recently here in the city of St. Louis. Under the Constitution, the defendants do have the right to a speedy trial. In the federal system, we have a 70-day rule, even though cases don't get to trial in 70 days because there are exclusionary times. We do attempt to get those cases to trial as soon as possible. And what's been happening here in the city of St. Louis is, as we know, there are cases that have been languishing for years. And what the prosecutor's office has been doing, my understanding is, they dismiss and refile the cases. And I believe when they do that, that tolls the speedy trial clock. It starts it over when it gets refiled. So it's a real problem for people who have been detained.
And that's a constitutional right in the Sixth Amendment, this right to a speedy trial. Often when people encounter inefficient government, they can sort of just brush it off as, well, you know, roll your eyes, shrug your shoulders, that's the way government is. In this case, we see clear and convincing evidence, as these different investigations were unfolding, that it wasn't just an invisible ghost or some boogeyman that we couldn't define. There was a specific list of obstacles in front of that speedy trial. The reason I lay that out is I wonder, is there enough evidence, if someone was to bring a lawsuit or a charge in front of you, and you were wearing the robes in a federal court, and they said, our constitutional rights are being violated here, what would you say?
I mean, it would be an interesting case to bring. I have not ever seen that. I've never seen, you know, because we're talking about cases that are here in the state court system, and yes, they do have a constitutional right to a speedy trial. The question would be, you know, what would be their remedy, and the remedy in these cases. So generally, if they fail to bring a case to trial in a timely manner, the remedy is dismissal of the case. And so that should be the avenue that the defense attorneys would be taking if they wanted to resolve the case, as opposed to bringing it as a constitutional matter.
So not like a big payout or damages. It would just be to let them out of jail, where some of them sit now and have
drop
for
the
5
charges.
years. Drop the charges.
Drop the charges. So they're no longer charged with those offenses. And then you look at where's the fairness for the victims in the case if that happened. I mean, that's the problem with this entire delay, is that it has affected both people who are charged and have not had those charges resolved, and the victims of the crimes.
Innocent until proven guilty, sort of.
And there may be people who have been detained who would not be found guilty, and so they've spent 4 or 5 years in jail, and for something that they may not be found guilty of.
I'm sure you appreciate the values inherent in that promise of a speedy trial, but what was the whole goal there? When we set out to endeavor and say we're not going to just throw people away, throw people in jail and throw away the key, what was the promise of a speedy trial? What was the value inherent in that?
Well, the value is getting justice done, making sure, the reason that you want to have a speedy trial is, first of all, even from the prosecutor's standpoint, you've got evidence. You don't want your evidence to get stale. But also, defendants do have the right to have these cases brought against them and resolved as quickly as possible. So not everyone is detained. Sometimes people are let out on bond and are waiting for their case, but you can't go on with your life if you just have these charges hanging over you.
We're getting a lot of questions from viewers, frustrated by the wheels of justice grinding to a halt here, and some of them are expressing frustration that Kim Gardner can walk away, accept a government pension, and just sort of move on and leave this big problem behind her. Have you seen any evidence that would suggest she faces any other kind of consequence?
The only other consequence would be if someone brought some sort of a bar complaint against her, made some sort of formal complaint regarding her work, anything that she may have done, and then that would possibly lead to a suspension or disbarment or something along those lines. And I have not heard that that has happened yet, but that would be one of the consequences, and that's the only thing that I can think of, actually.
As we transition in the closing minutes of this conversation here, Governor Mike Parson is expected to pick Kim Gardner's replacement, the next circuit attorney, who would stay in that office until January of 2025, tomorrow morning. Our Christine Byers has reported that short list has whittled down to include the names of a lawyer and a judge. Michael Noble, the judge, and Gabe Gore, an attorney. Do you know these men? Can you speak to their reputation? And what kind of a decision does the governor have on his hands?
Thanks for surprising me. I had not heard who the names were.
I didn't know if you had or not.
I did not, but I do know both of them. I know Judge Noble. I've known him for many years. He was a commissioner, a drug court commissioner at the circuit court back when I was on the circuit court, has been an associate circuit judge and a circuit judge, has a good reputation in the community, and he's genuinely a nice person. I also know Gabe Gore. I've known him for many years. He works at the Dowd Bennett firm, and he also has a very good reputation in the community. So I would say that the governor couldn't go wrong with either one of them.
A ringing endorsement. There we go. Nannette Baker, thank you for joining us, a retired federal judge. A pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.